This is probably the longest gap I've had in between any video I've made in a pretty long time, which sucks given how much I love doing these reviews and analyses. There's just so much going on in my personal life these days that I can barely get out of bed, much less muster up a single crumb of creativity or motivation to put in the work I know I need to be doing. Everything you see in these videos, from writing and editing the script, to recording my voiceovers, to editing the audio in Adobe Audition, to finding the clips I need, to editing those same clips together using a combination of iMovie and Adobe Premiere Pro, and when I can, adding subtitles for the benefit of not only myself, but also my fellow hard of hearing and deaf friends, fans, and family. All of it and everything that goes into these videos, I do entirely myself. And I say again, as rewarding and as much as I enjoy making these videos, the truth is, they're not only completely time consuming, but they require a lot of energy and creative motivation. Add to that the fact that I also work 2 full-time jobs, am currently in school studying to become a professional voice actor, have a very, very needy 8-month-old kitten that's bothering me even as I record this, a mother in a nursing home that I have to constantly worry about, and many, many other things on my plate that can make it very difficult at times to put these videos out on a weekly basis, or at least as frequently as I need to. Moreover, what makes all of this so much more, well, I won't say difficult, but hard to balance is, and as I've mentioned in many of my videos, I live with autism and other neurodivergencies and mental disorders such as, but not limited to, executive dysfunction, chronic anxiety, and depression that can make it extremely difficult for me to function on a day-to-day basis like everyone else. There's an overwhelming sense of guilt, if not at times outright self-loathing, that comes part and parcel with being neurodivergent and ultimately trying to keep up with a neurotypical world. That's why so many doctors and psychologists stress the importance of neurodivergent and especially autistic people keeping a very, very fixed daily routine in their lives that helps them navigate the world just a little easier. For myself, personally, having a set schedule and adhering as closely to that schedule as much as possible can mean the difference between getting these videos out on a weekly basis or falling behind so far that my chronic depression and anxiety kicks into overdrive and has me feeling so lost and overwhelmed that before I realized it, I've slipped into a genuine state of catatonia that psychologically and physically keeps me from functioning the way that I need to. That's what's most frustrating, that I was doing pretty damn good for a while in all aspects of my life and jobs. However, because of very recent and highly traumatic events beyond my control within my personal life, I was knocked off my routine, struggling desperately to keep up, and eventually lapsed into one of the worst depressive catatonic states I've experienced this year. However, it was during this time, laying in bed anywhere between 12 to 20 hours a day with the blinds closed, barely eating or socializing, all while feeling held hostage by my own mind, that I picked up Animal Crossing New Horizons again for the first time since it dropped earlier this year in March. I was so excited for this next installation in a franchise I'd been playing since the day it dropped on the GameCube back in September of 2002. What I wasn't expecting when I first played Animal Crossing's New Horizons, however, was to be completely overwhelmed to the point of autistic sensory overload by the sheer amount of things that were possible in this game, that all I'd managed to do was a bit of landscaping here or there. It also doesn't help that when I first picked up the game, there were outside forces that needed my attention so much that I couldn't invest myself in my island the same way that my friends, my family, and seemingly the entire world had been doing. I'd even joined literally one of the greatest groups on Facebook, Animal Crossing's New Horizons for Black folks, which, if you're a fan of this game, I cannot stress enough that you need to join. The community is absolutely incredible, and I promise some of the posts will even help to lessen your depression and anxiety. However, for my part, it got to the point where the only time I was playing ACNH was when my best friends at HeyAshB and Katie at In the Shadows of the Moon on DeviantArt were inviting me to their islands and giving me gifts and bells to help me build up my own, which at the time was hardly anything to write home about. Namely because the very thought of having virtually limitless creative control to shape something I saw fit triggered my executive dysfunction in a way that I had no idea what to even do with my island or my residence until maybe a month and a half ago when my depressive catatonia initially began. What originally pulled me back into ACNH was not only its recent nomination for Game of the Year, but also the work of an incredible Black woman by the name of Tanisha Bracken Hucks, who petitioned for more Black hairstyles in the game, which Nintendo eventually honored with one of its newest updates. And with little more to do than ride out my catatonic depression, I decided now would be a good time to get back into the game and see what I had missed. My island had fallen into such disrepair that I actually lost my 3-star rating and had gone all the way back down to 1 star. Yet, in the cloudy haze of my mind, it felt like a light switch had suddenly been flipped on. Out of nowhere, I had an idea of what to do with my island, my residence, and all at once I threw myself completely into Animal Crossing, playing all day, all night, anywhere between 8 to 12 to 24 hours a day, and even beyond that, with little more than 3 to 4 hours of sleep, and as soon as I woke up, I'd reach for my Switch. I had inadvertently stumbled upon my latest hyperfixation. It was like all of the creativity, motivation, and energy that I'd been desperate but unable to pour into my videos had manifested itself entirely into the total demolition and reconstruction of my island. Even even the energy I barely had to interact with actual living human beings seemed to change into excitement when it came time to say hi to any of my villagers, of whom I have genuinely come to love and see as friends and want to make sure they're happy on my island. Except you, Benedict and Croak. I need y'all off my island like now. What I love so much about this game is the freedom in the control you have over what pieces of furniture goes where, or what resident lives on what part of your island. It's the limitless creativity that can spawn masterpieces in this game, and the tremendous sense of accomplishment that can come when you've moved your last house, or when you see your island is finally beginning to take shape and form in the way you want it to after literal days of building up cliffs, chopping down trees, and running from wasps. Even if you aren't committed to the game in the same way that me and so many others are, it's still enough after a long, stressful day of sheer negativity to just come home, boot up your Switch, check your mail, and find a message of encouragement from one of your islanders that will genuinely move you to tears. It's no small mystery how and why, especially given Animal Crossing's New Horizon dropped during the cusp of COVID and the subsequent quarantine, that a game that isn't dedicated to killing and maiming and high fast-paced action, but requires you to slow down, breathe, and create and cultivate, even if it does require a bit of busy work, has been nominated for Game of the Year during one of the most stressful years in decades. Moreover, and I cannot stress this enough, if you are neurodivergent, autistic, or live with any kind of mental and emotional disorder, such as depression, anxiety, OCD, or even more, I highly suggest playing this game just once. Even once can be enough to help alleviate your symptoms and may possibly help you overcome certain mental and emotional blocks, if you will. For my part, I was so busy lamenting over the fact that I wasn't creating in the way that I'm so accustomed to that I didn't even realize that it wasn't that I had quote unquote lost my creativity or motivation. It was that neither had left me, only changed shape and form, and that I was still putting that very same creative energy into building up my island and making it a perfect home for my residents, friends, and visitors. Sure, I was only able to build up my island back to 3 stars, but I'm proud of those 3 stars. Those 3 stars reflected progress and accomplishments I could be proud of, when everything else in this world around me was telling me I had failed. And at last, when I was finally able to connect how this game ultimately impacted my mental state and overall perspective in such a positive way, I was finally able to sit down for the first time in almost 2 months and find the words to write this script. I'm still not fully as functional as I'd like to be, but it's still progress. Animal Crossing New Horizons truly helped me get through one of the hardest moments of 2020, and if you have the opportunity and the means to do so, give it a try. And if you or anyone else you know is struggling with anything I've discussed in this video, then please know you are not alone. There are resources out there, both free and paid, that can help steer you in the right direction. There are people out there in this world who want to help you and who love you. And if you truly feel utterly alone, believing there is no one out there in this world that loves you, well, guess what? I love you. Even if we've never met or this is the very first time you're hearing my voice, and I hope my love and my energy reaches you. Please feel free to hit me up at Jax-Attack on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for whatever resources you may need, and I will do my best to steer you in the right direction. For now, just know that you are doing the very best you can, even if your best is opening your eyes in the morning or whenever you wake up, rolling over, checking your phone, brushing your teeth, or even making sure you eat and stay hydrated. You are trying your hardest, and I see that. I am so proud of you. Don't give up. Stay safe out there, everyone. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Black Girls Anime for more in-depth, informative, educational, and entertaining reviews and analyses of your favorite anime, manga, video games, and more, all for the culture.